Should you still buy a Steam Deck in 2026? The Steam Deck has been one of the easiest handhelds for me to recommend. Ever since Valve released this thing, it completely changed the gaming handheld market. Before the Steam Deck, PC handhelds were kinda around, but they were pretty expensive and it was literally niche. And you know, a lot of people kinda just forgot about them. So most regular people wouldn't even buy it, even though they know it existed. But then Valve came around with the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck has been with me ever since this video. Look how long this video was and look how this video looked. The quality and everything is completely different. I love the Steam Deck because you actually had a handheld with all of your PC games on it, and it could play pretty much any, so you kinda get like a console-like experience thanks to SteamOS, but most importantly, it was actually affordable. I mean, I think the original LCD was like 300 bucks, and then the OLED was 512. Hold the phone, those prices were phenomenal. And in this mark, and right now, yeah, don't even open the Steam page to see the price. Actually, here's the price picture here. But anyways, that part is extremely important because the Steam Deck was never the most powerful handheld, and I always said this in my video, it didn't have the best screen in the world, it wasn't the smallest handheld in the world, and it definitely didn't have the most power options available. But when you looked at the complete package and the price you were paying, the ergonomics, the OLED screen, how it feels in the hand, how light it was, the amount of games that was optimized for it, the Steam Deck was extremely difficult to beat, and even up against handhelds like the Xbox Ally X, the ROG, MSI, the Legion Go, the 2, the S, the whatever, I was still recommending the Steam Deck even up to this day. But now in 2026, the handheld gaming market has completely changed. We have more competition than ever, more powerful handhelds, better screens, better processors, and more options than we've ever had before. And at the same time, the prices of buying a Steam Deck has gone significantly up. Here's the picture one more time if you didn't process it like I did it the first time. The first time I saw this, I couldn't even process it. So that brings me to the question I want to answer in today's video, and maybe you guys are looking for answers because a lot of you who clicked on this video, you're probably new to the Steam Deck as well. You've never heard of it until this video, so I love it, but hear me out. Should you still buy a Steam Deck in 2026? Especially at these new prices. Before I go deeper in the video, I just want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Tobin1. Big shout out to them. I've been using their products on my desk setup for a very long time. I've been making long forms and shorts for them for quite some time now, and I want to thank them for sponsoring today's video. So if you guys been looking for a dock to enhance your setup, or if you're a creator and you've been looking for something to just enhance your workflow, the Tobin1 dock is literally incredible. So this is the Tobin1 UDS 056 10-in-1 docking station, and it literally has all the ports you can possibly want. For all you creators out there, we have an SD card port on the back. We literally have multiple ports at the back, so we don't have to have that situation where we have to unplug something to plug something in. Nah, we got the ports. We're chilling. This is literally like my central hub, so when I want to plug my SSD into the computer to edit, I have the port. If I want to attach a speaker system, which is like my Sonos I have here, I can plug that into. I literally have all the ports I need on my desk in a nice small body right at the side. Super convenient, and I literally love this thing. Tobin1 has been making quality products for a very long time, and I've been using almost all of them and sharing them on the channel. So if you're looking for an all-in-one docking station that doesn't take up that much space, highly recommend this one. Or if you're just a creator and you need something for your workflow, it's hard to not recommend it. Once again, thanks to Tobin1 for sponsoring to this video, and thank you guys for watching through this if you did. If you guys want to check it out, I'll leave a link down below. Now back to the video. Now, because depending on which Steam Deck you're looking at, we're getting dangerously close to spending almost $1,000 for a handheld gaming PC, which of course we know there's other handhelds out there for that price point. But a Steam Deck at $1,000, now we gotta take some step backs. I don't know if it's worth it. And when you start spending that kind of money, I think we need to have a completely different conversation. So let's talk about it real quick. Now, before I start criticizing the Steam Deck, I want to make something very clear. I love the Steam Deck. I've made a lot of videos about this thing, and I still think it's one of the best gaming handhelds ever made, other than the PlayStation Vita, which is a childhood handheld of mine. I absolutely love that thing. The biggest reason I love the Steam Deck is the OS. You turn it on, you sign into your Steam account, your games are there. You download something, and you start playing. This is basically it. So of course, you can go into a desktop mode and install emulators and customize the system. You can install different launchers. You can basically turn this thing into whatever you want, but you don't have to do any of that. And that's something I think people underestimate about the Steam Deck. When you buy a Windows handheld, you're getting access to more games and more launchers, but you're also dealing with Windows on a small touchscreen. The updates in the drivers and the random pop-up. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you expect them to, so the Steam Deck literally avoids all of that, which is why I love it. Valve created an experience. When you pick this thing up and you play games, put it into sleep mode, come back hours, and continue playing. Yeah, I love that, and it feels like a gaming console, not a computer, and I prefer having something like that over an actual Windows PC on the go. So Steam Deck, you know, it checked a lot of boxes even up to today. So even in 2026, it's still one of the biggest advantages the Steam Deck has in my opinion. Then you have the controls, the ergonomics, and the trackpads. These things are great. The trackpads are really cool if you prefer to play like that. Sometimes I use it for a quick access item for games, like if I'm playing Resident Evil Requiem and I want to switch to something real quick, I just click the trackpad or swipe. It's pretty cool. You have the gyro so you can aim with the Steam Deck, which is awesome. You of course have the phenomenal joysticks and buttons, same that they put on the Steam controller, so it feels like the Steam Deck but without the screen, so I love that. And the buttons are squishy and beautiful. The overall package is just great. Valve really knocked it out the park with this one. I love the Steam Deck so much. They did a phenomenal job. And also a massive community creating all the controller layouts. It's amazing. Valve has continued supporting the Steam Deck with software updates up to this day, and it just made the Steam Deck better and better each time. So I'm not gonna sit here and just suddenly say the Steam Deck became a bad handheld, because it didn't. But the problem is the price. Because when the Steam Deck was significantly cheaper than the competition, you can overlook, you know, the weaknesses. The performance wasn't the best, and that's fine. The Steam Deck was cheaper. You couldn't play every multiplayer game because of the anti-cheat compatibility, but you know, that's okay. The Steam Deck was cheaper. Back to it being cheaper. Some of the newer AAA games struggled to run, most of them, but like things like Resident Evil Requiem, it did a pretty good job running on the Steam Deck. But again, you weren't spending nearly as much as some of these higher-end Windows handhelds to expect that type of performance or price. The price made those compromises a little easier to accept. But once the Steam Deck got closer to the $800 or $900, unfortunately, or even $1,000 if you add in that tax, yeah, depending on the model and when you're buying it, I don't think we can use that argument anymore. Because now you're entering the price range of significantly more handhelds. And that is where the competition becomes a serious problem for the Steam Deck, because let's take something like the ROG Xbox Ally X. You're getting a newer and more powerful handheld, more performance, more flexibility when it comes to Windows games, and the compatibility with Game Pass and so on. And you obviously have access to everything just like the Steam Deck, and of course you have access to everything like the Steam Deck. But now I'm not saying the Xbox Ally X is automatically better than the other handhelds, because performance isn't everything, and we know this because of the Steam Deck's success. But the Steam Deck has OS. SteamOS. It still has an amazing sleep and resume feature. It has the trackpads. And I personally prefer the simplicity of the Steam Deck compared to the Windows handheld. That's why I still have a Steam Deck and I have nothing else. If you check the channel, I rarely reviewed anything else other than the Steam Deck, because I just love it. I'm speaking from actual day-to-day use of the thing. I love this thing and I bought it over everything else. But if you give me $1,000 and tell me to buy one gaming handheld, yeah, it becomes a little difficult. Here's what I'll tell you. Because of the price, I'm not looking for a good experience. I'm gonna look at how much hardware I could actually get for my money. I'm looking at how long this handle is gonna last. I'm looking at whether it's gonna be able to play newer games in 2 or 3 years from now. And that is probably my biggest concern when buying an expensive Steam Deck in 2026. Because the hardware is getting older. The Steam Deck OLED improved a lot of things. You got the OLED display, the battery life got better, faster Wi-Fi, the lighter design, and a bunch of smaller improvements, but the actual gaming performance didn't drastically change. So you're still dealing with hardware that's starting to show its age in newer AAA games, but you're gonna have to pay that hefty price. And that's not necessarily Valve's fault. The Steam Deck was designed around efficiency. You know, Valve wanted developers to have stable performance target. They didn't want to release a new handheld every year. And personally, I love that and I respect it. I don't want the handheld gaming market to become like smartphones where we expect an upgrade every year. I kind of hate that actually. But it doesn't really change the fact that we're now being asked to spend significantly more money again on aging hardware. And that's where I struggle to recommend the Steam Deck, because if you already own one, I think you should keep it. It actually went up in value, so keep it, please keep it, seriously. But if your Steam Deck plays games you want to play, I don't think you need to rush out and buy another handheld, because I mean, I still use mine. Played Resident Evil Requiem recently on it, so I still use mine. And there's 1,000 of games that could run really well on the Steam Deck that's not AAA games. You know, indie games, older AAA games, emulation, all that good stuff plays incredibly well on the Steam Deck. I'm playing GTA 4 and it plays so well on the Steam Deck. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, on my PS3, I was like, oh man, I wish I could play GTA 4 on this. Well, now I can on the Steam Deck and it runs incredibly well and it looks beautiful. So dream come true, I guess, as a kid from then to now. So amazing. But even a lot of the newer games still can run fine on the Steam Deck. But if you're buying your first gaming handheld in 2026, it's a difficult situation, because if you're looking at the cheaper Steam Deck, you can find one at a good price used or even refurbished. And I still think the Steam Deck is an amazing option if you can get it at the right price. But if you're spending $8, $9, or even $1,000, I would look at the competition. Because at that point, you're paying premium handheld prices, to be honest. And I want premium performance. So I want hardware that's gonna give me more room for newer games. I want something that's not gonna immediately start thinking about. I want something that I'm not gonna immediately start thinking about replacing with like the Steam Deck 2, for example, when that gets announced. And I mean, yeah. So this is where I stand. Should you still buy a Steam Deck in 2026? Yes, but only at the right price. If you can get it, use the refurbish for the price it was originally or even less. 100% worth it. I still love that handle and I recommend it. But once you start spending $8, $9, or even $1,000, I wouldn't buy one. But at that price point, I would look at buying a powerful PC, or I would recommend getting the Xbox Ally X. If you buy the Steam Deck 1TB, it's basically going to be around that price point. Even if you buy the 512, it's going to be basically around the Xbox Ally X price. So you might as well spend the extra and just get that, because that's going to be way faster and it's going to last you longer. So that's what I recommend. But buy a cheaper or used refurbished Steam Deck, or a used Xbox Ally X, or simply, keep what you already have and see what Valve does next, because the Steam Deck is going to come around, not right now but soon. And yeah, I mean, once again, the Steam Deck didn't become a bad handheld. It just became worse when it comes to value. And in the market where we have more and more gaming handhelds than ever before, I think the value matters. But that's just my opinion, alright? Would you buy a Steam Deck at a new price? Let me know down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It truly helps out the channel. I share a ton of awesome videos regarding Steam Deck, Steam Frame, XR, wearable tech, awesome gaming tech. Subscribe if you want to check out those. I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah, that is going to be today's video. If you don't have a Steam Deck and you really want a handheld, I think the Xbox Ally X is worth it. If you really want a Steam Deck, I would try my best to find one refurbished or slightly used at a very, very good price, because I still love it and I still recommend it. But if you already have a Steam Deck, chill with it. Just save your money for something worth it when things hopefully get back normal, which I don't think they will. If they ever get back normal, or if something just crazy comes out at a good price, you'll have the cash to do so, to buy it, of course. And if you just want to get something better than all these handhelds and you don't care about the handhelds no more because they're so expensive at $1,000, save for a gaming PC, man. Look, prices are the prices. Save for a gaming PC. You'll thank me later. But if you really want a handheld, which I definitely understand if you do, because I love handhelds as well, Xbox Ally X for the 1K. So yeah, that's basically gonna be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you know what to do, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.